Prime Minister. Here. Start whenever you're ready. Prime Minister.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Assalamualaikum and a very good evening I bid to everyone in the floor. So today we are debating on the motion that this house believes that children should be taught about harsh realities in life as opposed to being instilled hope and optimism. So today I am standing as the Prime Minister. I will be doing I will be doing three things in my debate today, in my speech today. So firstly, I will characterize some of the words here in the motion that need to be characterized. Secondly, I will be giving burdens for our side and also for the opposition side that we have to prove. And thirdly, I will be giving an argument from our side. Okay, so without further ado, firstly, characterization. The first word we want to characterize here is the word children. So here, we would like to characterize children as children from primary school, starting from primary school uh, until they are 18. Okay, so why do we say the starting age is from primary school, which is 7 years old? It is because at this age, these children can actually start to understand what is right and wrong. But like before that, maybe around like 4 or 5, it is hard for them to grasp lots of concepts. So we want to start at 7, which is a good age to start at. Okay, second is the word harsh reality. So what is a harsh reality? Harsh reality is the truth of what is happening, what is really happening in the world, or what is happening to these children. But what happened in this world right now is basically uh, this reality is always sugar-coated by adults by giving them false or giving them white lies or giving them fake truth, which is not the real truth, but what is happening. So, okay, moving on to my burdens. So, firstly, for the government side today, we will prove three burdens. First, why hope and optimism can make the children believe in a fake reality. Second, how uh, harsh realities can give children exposure to how the real life works. And thirdly, is how being taught harsh realities will make better character, will shape better character in children. Okay, so for the opposition side, we would like to place a burden. We want them to prove how telling these children giving them hope and optimism, or telling them white lies can shape better children than telling them harsh realities. Okay, so but before I go any further, I would like to state that the government, we are willing to make a trade-off that we would be willing to trade off that children might have a happy and protected childhood. We would gladly trade that off for them to tell them the reality of the harsh world and make them realize in an early age. Okay, so uh, moving on to my arguments, which is under the first two burdens. First, why hope and optimism can make children believe in a false reality. Okay, so when we say a false reality, what is a false reality? It is basically a reality that is believed by these children, that they believe that it is the truth, but in actuality, it's not how the world works. It's false. An example for this: let's say that uh, San- children believe that Santa Claus exists. Okay, but that is a very sugar coated lie. But in the harsh reality here is that Santa Claus does not exist. Okay, this is one of many examples that I will be giving. Okay, so uh, they can believe lots of false realities. Like maybe they believe that they are a princess, or maybe they have special powers or something like that. But in reality, these children, we want to tell them that these children are normal children. They don't have powers. They are not princesses. They are not a prince or whatever. We want them to know and accept at an early age that they are just normal people. Okay, so what will happen when these children uh, believe in this false reality? Okay, this is under the second burden of, sorry, continuing from the first burden. Why children will believe in this false reality is because it is what the parents tell them, and whatever the parents tell them, it is highly likely for them to believe in it. Okay. Okay. Now moving to the second burden, which is how harsh realities can give actually children an exposure to real life. Sorry. So when we expose the harsh realities of real life, for example, when somebody dies or something, or passes away, so we will, instead of telling the children, oh, the person who died uh, went to visit someone or something, they're gone. Instead of saying that, we tell them that the person has died. Okay, and other than that, we will tell them, like, if they do something wrong, we will tell them the real actual consequences of what happens. Okay, so when we, if we do not tell them these harsh realities early, if we give them this, we tell them these white lies and they believe in this false reality, what will happen is that first they will be very disappointed in their life. Okay, because imagine, as a kid you believed Santa Claus exists, and then suddenly, and your parents kept on saying, oh, it exists, and then suddenly one day you figure out yourself that um, oh, Santa Claus does not exist. You figure this out on your own from your friends or something like that. So you feel a feeling of betrayal, and you like just feel a bit disappointed, because, like, why didn't you would think that, why didn't my parents tell me this truth early? Why did they lie to me in the first place? Okay. Secondly, uh, when we tell them this early, we will prepare them for the future. Okay. So, for example, if this family is a very poor family and they want to, the child asks, they want to buy something like a toy or something. Sorry, not a toy, to buy a gadget or something. So then, instead of telling that, or maybe telling a white lie that maybe, oh, the gadget is not in stock, we tell them the truth that these parents are not rich. They do not have the money. So we tell them this outright so that they can prepare for the future. They know that, sorry, they can understand the parent situation better, so that they know the reality of the world, so that they can prepare for it. They will think like, oh, people can be rich and can be poor. So they will have that mindset to prepare to become to not become poor people, to work hard and become rich, something like that. uh, so what have I told you? I have told you why hope and optimism can make children believe in a false reality and why it's very bad. And secondly, I have told you why telling them that the harsh reality can give them exposure to real life. And with that, I've never been prouder to propose. Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Now I'd like to invite Leader of Opposition. Here.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
All right. So I will be starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. So, ladies and gentlemen, we think that sure, life does sometimes has its own difficulties. We think that life will not always be rainbows and sunshine, and sometimes there are difficult times where you won't always be happy. But the thing is, when you are raised with the mindset that it is always harsh and there won't be happy times, that happiness is temporary, that is where you destroy the childhood of children. So in my speech today, several things that I will do. Firstly, I will rebut the arguments and the points given by the side of government. Secondly, I will prove to the house. I will tell the house what are the burdens of flow coming from our side. And thirdly, some forms of substantive coming from our side. So now let's move on to the first task as the leader of opposition. Firstly, the contention on the idea on the definition by the side of government. They say that children are individuals who are from primary schools to 18 years old. We think that the idea of children encompasses all ages or stages of childhood, whether below the age of 12 primarily, because this is where they are children. When they are above the age of 12, they are mainly teenagers or considered as minor. Children are individuals who are very immature, they are very young age. I think the idea of children is where they are still small and they can't comprehend things in life. That is where we are talking about teaching them the reality of life, even starting from a young age. And the idea of hope and optimism. We think that them blatantly stating that hope and optimism is a false reality. We think that this is false. Because why? Hope and optimism simply means that you are looking forward that better time will come. You are looking forward that eventually there will be a slight there will be a silver lining behind the clouds. That is the idea of hope and optimism. Maybe that right now you are suffering from pain, but do know that this pain won't last forever. That is the idea of optimism and hope that we are trying to bring. And we think that this is the mindset that you should instill upon children, rather than just blatantly telling them, oh, eventually you will feel pain and you won't be able to escape and life is just full of suffering. We think that the idea of coming from the opposite side is very flawed. So the rebuttals for them seeing that when they are raised with the idea of optimism and hope, and then they realize the truth that whatever they believe is false, they would feel disappointed and sad. We don't think that the feeling of disappointment is something as bad in comparison to living their life always expecting that something is always going to be wrong. Living their life as a pessimist, believing that nothing good lasts forever, and always expecting the worst. We think that that is a worse life to be living in comparison to later on realizing that maybe hard times will come, but eventually things will always get better in the end of the day. So now let's move on to the burden of proofs coming from our side. So firstly, we believe that children should be raised with hope and optimism because it creates better individuals in the end of the day. So now let's move on to my argument. How positivity and optimism helps to help children face life better. So when you teach children with positive attitude and positive energy, you tell them that eventually things will get better and always hope for the best. Even why this is good is because it will help the children to always not to always look forward even when they're facing hard times. They won't give up easily and they will always feel motivated to do whatever they're doing, in comparison to when you tell them that later on in life you will face failure. Because with that fear in their mind, they would always be scared to enjoy the things that they are doing, because they would feel like later on, oh, I might fail my examinations, or later on I might lose my parents, so there's no point in me trying my best in my school, or like trying to enjoy my life at home. I have to always be prepared for these things. That sort of mentality when they are children is very problematic. So when you have an optimistic sort of mentality, you always realize that even in the worst of times, eventually things will get better. So with this positive attitude, it helps the children to get through life better and understand that life is always a cycle of positive and negative times, good times and bad times. So on our side, we will be able to create children who will become individuals that are able to go through life with a smile. They will become tougher and stronger individuals because they know that hard times are something that they are able to endure, and pain is just a normal part of life, and also enjoyment is also a normal part of life, and that they would be able to enjoy life towards its fullest. On the government side, however, they would create an illusion that life is just full of pain and suffering, and there's nothing good that can come from it. And this would take away the enjoyment that they will get from the good times, because even in the when they're in the good times, they will always feel they will be always be expecting pain to come later on in the future, because they know because they have been taught from a very young age that the reality is something that harsh and painful. So we think that is very wrong from the government side. And secondly, on our side, we think that it's unjustified to teach children about the reality being harsh, because they are immature and they would definitely get the wrong depiction. For example, when you teach your children that the reality is harsh, they would get the wrong idea that happiness would never exist. They would always be thinking that, oh, life is only pain and suffering and pain and suffering, and they would eventually get the mentality to never wanting to improve their life, and they would always be scared to go out of their comfort zone. They would only believe that eventually they would suffer from pain, and they would not be able to that happiness is only an illusion. This is very problematic because it damages the child's way of their thinking and their mindset. It would create children who are less motivated, that they don't want to enjoy life. They would develop to become individuals who are pessimist and depressed, and they won't have any enthusiasm or dreams that they want to achieve in their life. But different from our side, on our side, we create individuals who are positive, happy, and tougher individuals, because you know that even in the worst times, that happiness will later on come later in their life. You know that even if you're suffering through pain, you know that you have felt happiness before, and definitely that happiness can come again. So they will perceive things in life differently in comparison to individuals who are pessimists. So we think that children who are raised with positive energy would always live a life with a smile, which is something that we want to create on our side. So in the end of the day, if you want to create a better generation who is always optimistic and hope for the best, go with the opposition side. I've never been prouder to oppose. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that speech. And I'd like to call upon Deputy Prime Minister. Here.
Okay, a very good afternoon again to everyone present. Today, I'm as the Deputy Prime Minister. Here's how I'm going to structure my speech. First, I'm going to provide some rebuttals towards the opposition, and I will be giving our point of argument to further strengthen our beliefs. Okay, so first, when we talk about harsh reality, it is not about telling the children that life is always negative, there are only bad things that will happen in life. We are actually teaching them about the possibilities that could happen in the reality. Okay, next, when we teach them about harsh realities also, we are not actually teach them to be pessimists, but we are actually not providing them tremendously high expectations in life. Okay, so one to my point of argument. Oh, sorry. Also, the government stance is harsh realities is the reality that is not sugarcoated by adults to children. Okay, moving on to our point of argument. Okay, so first I'm going to prove why teaching children harsh reality can expose them to real life. Okay, so first, responsible parents always tend to instill good moral values to their children, and they always say that moral values is the weapon for you to be successful in life. But sadly, it is not always the case, as good things happen to good people does not always happen. And the earlier the child knows it, the better it is. This is too immature and naive, as the children will be deceived and conned when they step up to their teenagerhood and also workforce. Okay, so if they were not taught these harsh realities by their parents during childhood, they will eventually learn by their peers. And when they learn that the harsh realities is totally different than what they were taught in their childhood about the life is full of rainbows and ponies or living in a euphoria, then they will find it very hard to believe and also accept it and cope with it. Okay, they will also find it difficult to admit that this is the true face of reality rather than the euphoria that they were taught earlier in childhood. Okay, back to the kindness that I stated earlier. I have a scenario in school. Okay, so for example, there is a child who was not taught about harsh reality by his or her parents, and there is another kid who knows about it, and he take advantage of the child by frequently asking to do favors like finishing his homeworks, his assignments, and whatnot, or even worse, helping him to cheat during examinations. So if things go downhill, and most probably the kid that were not taught about the harsh reality, the kid that were not taught about harsh reality will sure going to accept about doing the other kid's favor, as he was taught by his parents that, oh, we will always need to help people and etc. Okay, so uh, if he face disciplinary actions, so actually he's just an innocent child that were not taught about harsh realities by his parents, and this is totally unfair to him. Okay, so many people will tend to say that people will sure learn from their mistakes, and people will be more mature after learning from their mistakes. Okay, but now we are talking about teaching them or exposing them to harsh realities as soon as possible or as soon as during their childhood. Okay, next, moving on to shaping characters. When we teach harsh realities to them during childhood, we are actually shaping their characters very early. They will be able to learn about attitudes and how to deal with people. They will be more mature at an earlier age and will surely not get deceived or taken advantage when they step up in the real world. Okay, shaping character is very crucial because the world is full of unpredictable things anywhere and anytime. Just like, for example, it can happen in school, it can happen in workplaces, it can happen anywhere. Okay, so basically, if we are not taught about harsh realities as early as childhood, we will. Okay, if we did not, if children are not taught about harsh realities in real life as early as childhood, surely there will be so many disadvantages for them, and it is very unfair to them. Okay, so I hereby end my speech, and I have not been crowded to oppose. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that speech. Now calling upon Deputy Leader of Opposition. Here, here.
Good afternoon, our to the panel of educators, timekeeper, and members of the hall. I would like to say that first things first, that government here, what we can say that government here is taking away a child's childhood. I'm rehashing what the Deputy Prime Minister has said, which is that they want to expose the reality of life to children at a young age. But then they are also saying that they are not setting up children for disappointment. But in the Deputy Prime Minister's speech, he said that good things happen to good people, and that's not necessarily what happened in real life. Isn't that setting up children for disappointment later on in life? again, the government has also stated that children should know what is happening to them later on in life, and that's why we, the opposition side, we want to instill hope and optimism so that children will have a different perspective in life when they are facing the harsh reality of adulthood. Children on our side will not see reality as monochromatic as what the children on the government side will see. Instead, they will see life as something that is hopeful, and that when they are facing when they are facing harsh reality, they will see it with optimism and hope. And this is what the opposition side is standing for, and this is why we are opposing the motion for today. So now I'll move on to our arguments. Children raised with positivity will become better adults. On the government side, children that faces harsh reality will become pessimistic because they are only exposed to the harsh realities instead of other realities of life, and this will cause harm to society because these children will go on to become individuals in society, and they would keep to themselves because they are afraid to come out of their comfort zone, because when they know if they come out of their comfort zone, that they will face disappointment and they will feel that they have nothing else to hold on to. Whereas children on the opposition side will try to involve themselves in something new and explore new things. On our side, where we instill children with hope and optimism, we will create a better and stronger individuals that won't be scared to explore other areas out of their comfort zones, and this instead will create a better and more progressive society in whole. Children raised with optimism and hope won't be emotionally damaged growing up. They will still have hope and optimism to hold on during harsh times. Inside government, the children, what side government is actually doing is that they are taking away hope and optimism from small impressionable children. Imagine that, how heartless, thinking that Santa Claus doesn't exist when you're 4 years old, thinking that your presents are actually from your parents. We on the opposition side, we cannot believe that that's the reality that the government side is trying to instill on small children, that superheroes don't exist, that what they are is just humans at this very least. And this will cause these kids will then grow up to become less empathetic individuals whose mindset will only be that people should be tougher instead of helping people that are in dire situations. Children on our side, the opposition side, will be more likely to help each other and will more likely to help others who are facing harsh realities, and they will be able to face it with hope and optimism, and that they will know that the hard times is just a fleeting moment that is just passing by. And I would like to say that teaching about harsh reality of life is not the responsibility of people around those children. This is because that parents or teachers that are teaching these children the harsh reality of life, they walk a different path from them. In our age, things might be different. We are exposed to technology, but in their age, they are not exposed to technology. What happens in the future where the world is constantly changing? Then they would not walk the same path. They wouldn't know what we wouldn't know what teenagers of our times would be facing. And our parents wouldn't certainly know what we are facing. So teaching children about the harsh realities that are happening in a parent's or a teacher's life is just somewhat unfeasible, because most of this children won't be probably to take into account, because this might not even happen in their generation, and children should instead learn the harsh realities based on their experiences, because children are the one who are facing their lives. So it is much more better that children is given a childhood where they can still believe that hope and optimism still exist, and then later on face disappointment in life, instead of just facing disappointment altogether and not being able to enjoy life to its fullest. In opposition side, we think that what government is doing is certainly heartless and is also problematic. because because what they're doing is they are trying to take away children's reality and just giving them a harsh reality and make them be thrown into a harsh reality where they have no rope to hold on. So I would like to recap that children raised with positivity becomes better adults because they will go on to become more progressive individuals in society, and that they would be able to face reality heads on with optimism and hope in the future while also helping others instead of having a pessimistic mindset. And with that, I would like to rest my case. I am proud to expose. Thank you.
Thank you for that speech. Now I'd like to invite Government Whip here.
Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah.
Under that government, we believe that hiding the reality from children, lying to them about what reality actually is about, is not the way to go. So, first of all, what I'm going to do today as government whip is to, first of all, provide a question and provide a clash that I found in this debate today to give a brief conclusion as to why said government has already proven to you why this motion should go through, and to prove to you why opposition has just been creating a very delusional debate in the first place. So, first of all, for the information, I'll be inserting my rebuttals as well in my clashes. So first of all, my question for this debate is, under which side is the future generation better shaped? So under side government, we have proven to you in our first and second speaker that, first of all, maturation will happen early on, and secondly, that the character of the children can be shaped better. So under side opposition, from the first and second speaker of opposition, they went on about optimism. Their sole argument is regarding optimism, and we consider the fact that yes, optimism is good. However, we must believe that that optimism should not be the sole principle that children learn in life, and that optimism, when it's too much and when it's too unrealistic, it becomes a problem in the later years. So first of all, under government, what we've proven to you is, first of all, in my in my prime minister's speech, he talked about when children learn about the reality of life, they become mature more earlier. So how does it make them more mature actually? So first of all, they learn that life does not necessarily go the way that they want it to, and that there are different possibilities to a certain situation, that there are consequences to their actions. This is what said opposition has to take note. We did not explain anywhere that we're going to tell them harsh realities which would lead to them becoming pessimistic, to lead to them having negative thoughts on and on. We're just telling them what harsh realities mean in this case is that we're telling them the possibilities that can happen from a certain situation and the consequences that can arise from their actions. We're not telling them that life is never going to go the way you want it to, that life is never going to be beautiful. We're just telling them that there are different possibilities or different options in life, and life can turn out in different ways. We're not telling them to give up on life as a whole, as what opposition is proposing. We're telling these children that there are different possibilities that can happen in life, and it does not necessarily go the way you really want it to. So again, what I'd like to clarify here is that government is fighting for letting these children know what reality actually can be, not telling them that reality is nothing but failure, but telling them that reality is not necessarily what they're expecting it to be, which is rainbows and sunshine. So my second leader, which is the deputy prime minister, came up and told you and to prove us a third burden regarding shaping character. So both sides understand that children can be naive and that they are innocent, but there are sometimes that children have to learn about character as well in order to be shaped to become a proper adult. So what we tell you is that when the guardians or the parents or the teachers will tell them about reality, for example, when they tell them to learn about the consequences of their actions, if they were mean to someone, if they said something rude, the parents should tell the truth about what they did and tell them about what's actually wrong. Why? Because instead of sugarcoating things by telling them that okay, it's all right to do that, but next time do this, or sugarcoating their actions, it becomes worse in the future when the children aren't told off early on, when they're when they're told from an early age that something is wrong and this is the consequence of your action. If you did this, you will get this. They would learn early on that that thing is wrong or that thing is not supposed to be done, and they'd be able to mature and shape a better character as a child. So we believe that under our side, it's proven that side government will be able to shape a better generation. So the clash that I think both sides have been going on about is under government side, a harsh but honest reality versus a false reality filled with optimism. So first of all, on the government side, when we talk about harsh but honest realities, what we think is that under our side there won't be any white lies to the children, and we won't be instilling any false hope to the children when it comes about life. We tell them to make more realistic approaches when making decisions and when thinking about life in general. To talk about opposition's case. So under opposition, they're trying to paint a picture from our side that all we're doing is creating a world full of negativity when that's not actually the case. We've clarified it in all three speakers that our case under government is to provide a more realistic approach to tell them, yes, reality can be harsh. So this is the reason why we're not telling them that reality is nothing but negativity, but we're just telling them the possibilities. So also when when the deputy leader of opposition came up and told you about how harsh moments is just a fleeting moment when you're optimistic, that, my friend, is not the concept here. When you instill so much hope and optimism in a child to where there's no room left for negativity, imagine if that child, full of hope and full of such optimism, were to go through an extremely difficult moment or challenge in life one day. Imagine if they had to go through something where they believe that, okay, my life can turn out like this, my life will turn out like this, optimistic 24/7. However, when they go through a harsh moment, it's not just a fleeting moment, ladies and gentlemen. I think that we believe that if a child who was raised with so much optimism, with too much optimism and too much hope, was to go through a harsh moment, it won't just be a fleeting moment of pain. Instead, it would lead to more emotional damage. Why? Because they believe that life was supposed to turn out like this, that they were supposed to turn out like this. They were supposed to grow up into someone, like maybe they were supposed to grow up into someone who's phenomenal in academics, but ends up maybe in high school they messed up somewhere. This would lead to more emotional damage because they expected so much from life and they weren't told about what life could actually be about. So, because of this, when they expect such things, when they expect such things like this, the pain that comes from the disappointment is not just a fleeting moment. The pain that comes from this disappointment will take a toll on their mental health, will take a toll on their perspective of life in general. And I believe that that's more damage than what we're trying to create here. What government is trying to paint here is that we want to let them know that there are possibilities to your choices. There are possibilities to your realities. This is not the only reality you're going to go through. But what side opposition is trying to say is that, oh, tell these children everything's going to be about life full of rainbows and sunshine, but it's okay if they feel disappointment at the end because it's just going to be a little bit of pain. It's not going to be a little bit of pain. Once you expect amazing things from life and you don't get them, it becomes really, really painful, and that is what causes more emotional damage. Which is why under this clash, we believe that a harsh but honest reality will be better for the children in the long term run when they turn into teenagers, when they turn into adults, rather than under opposition where they want to hide the reality and they want to hide these children from multiple years of life just for them to experience pain and disappointment on their own. So what have I told you today? I've proven to you why, first of all, underside government is the future generation better shaped, and secondly, why a harsh but honest reality is better than a false reality painted by opposition. So if you want to side with the side that is more logical and wants to raise children to have better lives in the future, please side with side government. I've never been prouder to propose.
Thank you, Gov Whip. Now I'd like to invite Op Whip.
Assalamualaikum and good evening to all members of the floor. Today, I would like to structure my speech for today. First, I will start off with clarifications. Then I will move on to my clashes, integrated with my rebuttals, and my conclusion will be integrated with comparison. So first of all, clarification. Seems like side government has this misconception about our definition of hope and optimism, whereas my LO has already mentioned beforehand what we mean by hope and optimism. So first of all, they think that giving hope and optimism will give rise to false reality. Well, we disagree with that because government is basically running the narrative that we are promoting white lies when we are actually not. Why? I'll tell you. Because hope and optimism does not give a false reality. Hope and optimism is actually showing the children how even when something terrible happens, we tell them that this will not last, that there is a solution, that this is not a lie, this is not a false reality. The reality is that there is a solution. There is a solution if you put in effort to solve said problem. But we also emphasize that things will get better at the end of the day. So no white lies. So moving on to my second rebuttal would be that the DPM said that the earlier the challenge, the better it is, and that side opposition are deceiving and conning these children. However, we say no because harsh realities are present on both sides. We emphasized on that. It's just that we are not deceiving and conning these children. It's just that how the children learn about harsh realities that differs in today's debate. So saying that we are promoting white lies is totally untrue. So the DPM also said that shaping is in order their side shape the characters very early, and we on side opposition also say that we shape children into better individuals on our side. So I will be explaining this further on in my classes. So moving on to clashes, I have two clashes in today's debate. This was I'll show you how today's debate should have gone. First of all, which side better protects the children, and my second clash would be which side promotes a healthier development and mindset in growing children. So moving on to my first clash, which side better protects the children? If we compare, side government is actually teaching harsh realities. In teaching harsh realities will only limit their perspectives towards reality. Even if harsh realities are present, there would always be days where realities could be sweet and kind. Yes, you have to concede to that fact. Government side is cornering children into thinking that harsh realities are the only realities that they're going to face. They're children. Even if you do not emphasize on harsh realities not being the only reality in life, these children who are taught too early in their development stage would still come to a simple conclusion, and that is harsh realities are everywhere. So this will not only cause a huge change in character development, it will affect character development, but it will also cause these children to be less incentivized to explore the world around them. As children, it is common to educate them with as much love and care as possible. The way they grew up, the things they were taught would all affect their personality, their attitude. Teaching them about harsh realities would be like coming up with a conclusion prior to conducting an experiment. So children need to learn things through experience, not through hearsay. Children need to live their life instead of living their life in a fixed echo chamber with a constant reminder and worry that things are not always all sunshines and rainbows. However, on side opposition, we do acknowledge that children should be exposed to harsh realities of life, but teaching them a set definition of living life, we actually allow them to explore and experiment, find their own definition of reality by experiencing, and we should be the catalyst of positive development by providing hope and optimism. So moving on to my second clash, which side promotes a healthier development and mindset in growing children? So first of all, government's biggest flaw is that they are planting pessimistic ideas in these poor children's minds from the get-go. So I'll give you an analogy. A young girl has been taught about the harsh realities of the world. What ifs, but in a negative light. So, for example, she goes to school, makes friends, study, and get good grades. However, there will always be this nagging voice right in the corner of her mind, repeating that all these good things in life, friends, good grades, happiness, may, and I emphasize may, end one day. So think of it this way: there is no guarantee that such terrible things or any good things will happen, but her mind will keep constantly worrying over it unnecessarily, and this is detrimental towards children. So it creates a generation which overthinks and are less motivated to do and explore life in fear of terrible things in the first place. So you are not letting them live and explore beforehand. So this may contribute to producing a generation devoid of hope, completely and emotionally detached generation. So, however, in comparison to opposition side, we instill hope and optimism in these children. This gives them motivation and determination, along with the sense of purpose in living life. Finding themselves in their own way, and we give them the freedom of thought and the freedom to learn. On our side, we apply heuristic education to practice. Heuristic by definition, meaning that enabling children to discover or learn something new for themselves, on our we are for themselves. On our side, children are unafraid or not so intimidated to take risks in the name of experience in learning about life compared to side government. This is what side government lacks in. Instilling hope and optimism in children, we create a more emotionally empathetic individuals, those that see the light at the end of the tunnel, those that see the greener side of the grass, and those that see that there is silver lining to every cloud when encountering horrible situations or when they find themselves in such dire predicament. So comparison between my conclusion, comparison between government's best case scenario and opposition's worst case scenario. On government side, they may be prepared for harsh realities of life and expect bad things in life. However, that is only due to through constantly thinking about them happening. However, on our side, in our worst case, we create a society that endures pain with a smile, holding to the same ray of hope, more incentivized to live life to its full extent, and optimism that helps children make better decisions. So with this, I have never been prouder to oppose.
Thank you very much, Opwip, for that speech. Now I'd like to invite opposition reply. Here.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think in today's debate, the main contention on both sides is how do we tell these children that one day life will not always be happy, life will not always be rainbows and sunshine. We think that on our side, we made it very clear that we think that a life should not be, the children should not perceive life as something that is very sad, very painful, and very full of suffering. We think that sure, maybe one day that they will realize that life is not always happiness. They will also face difficulties later on in life. But we clearly said that the best teacher to teach these things in life is them experiencing it themselves. So let's look at what we said. Let's have a comparison on what the opposition said and what the government said throughout this debate. So on our side, we said that through optimism and hope, we are able to create children who are tougher and who are able to face difficult time with a smile on their face. Because why? They know that later on, after some time, things will get better. Time will heal and time will repair and mend the scars that you have on your heart. Because we believe that happiness is something that that difficult time is something that is temporary, and it will always turn better later on in the future. With this hope, children will be able to look at life very easily with a smile. And secondly, we also said that how it is unjustified for you to teach children the reality of life, this harsh reality of life, because they are very immature and they would definitely get the wrong idea, the wrong depiction of what bad means, or like what the harsh reality is. So also we said that it's not the responsibility of these parents and teachers to teach these children. What the government side said is that they want to teach they want to teach the children to mature earlier. We think that there's no we don't think that maturing earlier would actually create much difference in developing children. We think that later on in the future they would learn by themselves, which is better for them to learn through their own experiences rather than letting someone else to teach them what the reality actually means. Also, on their idea of shaping a better character, we think that the character development created by the government side would actually create someone who is pessimistic, someone who always looks on the dark side of things, and someone who always feel like they should give up because nothing good would come out of their efforts and all their efforts. So we think that on their side they would destroy the childhood of the children. On our side, we think that even if they're suffering, even if they're going through hard times, they still are attached. They can hold on to hope and believe that one day things will get better, and then they will not give up life. They will not on the government side. However, even before they experience life, they would already have given up. They won't be brave to try out new things. They won't be brave to try out to go out of their comfort zone just to protect themselves, just because they know that they have already been expecting the pain to come to them. So, in conclusion, we think that on our side, we create a better generation of children who are braver, who are stronger, who are tougher, and create children who will always face difficult times with a smile. But on the government side, you destroy the childhood of the children. You create children who are scared of life, scared of facing things, scared of growing up, and in the end of the day it would create individuals who want to give up on life, depressed children, and also destroy their childhood as a whole. So if you want to protect these children, if you want to create a better world for the future generation, go with the opposite side. With that, I've never been prouder to oppose. Thank you.
Thank you, opposition reply. Now I'd like to invite government reply.
Assalamualaikum and good evening once again to everyone in the floor. So I will be standing here giving a reply speech to strengthen our case further and to prove why the government side has won this debate today. So addressing the main issue here is that side of opposition has non-stop from the first speaker, second speaker, third speaker has been pushing the motion that when we tell harsh realities to children, what will happen is that they will become pessimistic. And as this has been said by my second and third speaker already, we have clarified before. I don't know if you've been listening or not. When we tell them the harsh reality of what happens, it does not mean that they will all suddenly become pessimistic. They suddenly all will, okay, I don't have any hopes for anymore. I don't have any hopes for the future. As an example, look at us, look at ourselves. I'm sure that we know the future. We know the harsh reality of this world. That this world is dark. Lots of crime happens. Lots of bad things happen in this world. But are we depressed? We know that we will die. We know that everything will end one day. But look at ourselves. Look at ourselves right now. Are we depressed? Is everyone pessimistic? No, this is not true. Now, I myself, I know the truth of this world. I know that this world is not. It's all dark. It's dark actually. Not all sunshine and rainbows. It's all dark. It's not. Sorry, it's not all dark and it's all not sunshine and rainbows. I know what's gonna happen. Yet I am not pessimistic. Are you pessimistic? No, I doubt that not everyone is pessimistic. So with what logic do you think that when we tell these harsh realities, we are just telling them what will happen, what might happen? We are not telling them, okay, we never told them that, we will never tell these children that, okay, you will face, this will happen to you. No, we saying this might happen to you, and this is something that can happen. So when we tell them what can happen here, we are preparing them for what they will face. Whereas this opposition side has been saying that, oh, we want to shape this better, this more smiling faces and more confident children. Okay, so that's the next thing. The problem here is that and they kept calling us a cruel government because we destroy their childhood. As I already mentioned before, we don't destroy their childhood. We just tell them. We are just telling them what is gonna happen. What is the truth of this world? What is the right and wrong? Sorry, what is the partiality of this world? And okay, so we think that they are more cruel by hiding this fact from them, by telling them, okay, everything will be fine in the future, whereas not necessarily everything will be fine. We are preparing them. We prepare them. We give them what might happen so that they can prepare for the worst. See, when we prepare for the worst, at least we have a backup for when it happens. Whereas side of opposition, they keep on saying that optimism, hope, and what happens? What happens in the worst case scenario on the side is that these kids will never be prepared because they're always optimistic. Okay, everything will turn out great. But in reality, no, it's not like that. We just want them to know what will happen so that they can prepare better. And when they say that maturing faster is not good, we think that it is actually good because when you mature faster, we know what the problems. When we mature faster, we can think. We can have lots of time to prepare. For example, let's say that you are playing a game and you are fighting a boss fight. Okay, so when you fight that boss, instead of being optimistic, you go in and say, "Oh, I'll just fight this boss and I'll win." No, we tell them what will happen. When we tell them, okay, we tell this boss move set and whatnot, what skills they have, so that they can prepare for this boss. Okay, so that is like the analogy of life here. We tell them what is going to happen in life. It's not like definitely will happen, but it might happen, so that they can prepare for this. And with that, the only thing opposition has been doing here is twisting our words and not understanding what we've been trying to say. I don't know. Maybe they haven't been listening. And with that, I've never been proud of propose. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gav Reply, for that speech, and thank you everyone for the debate. Now you can head on to the main room for break announcement. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank
Good luck.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.